What's going on, everyone? AP over here at Rumpier Sports, bringing to you the Strokes Gain Show. Here with my two guys. We got Hoop, we got Snyder. Hoop, what's going on, my man? I know you've been crushing it in the MLB streets. How was PGA for you last week?
Been crushing it in the MLB streets, but unfortunately not in the PGA streets. I think I had 6 out of 6 last week. Not a good week. Obviously a fluky event with the team play thing. This event, obviously one of the weaker fields that we've seen in a while. We'll break it down and see what we can dig up. But it's a very weak field, but these are the events that we kind of like, where we find our gems and kind of go from there. Very unique this week, where John Rahm is basically 3-1 to win this event. You obviously can't bet that, you definitely should not bet that. His odds of actually winning are not 3-1, but that's what the books have it at, and it creates an interesting dynamic for DFS because he's 11-3, and there's 5 guys in this $10,000 range, and the other guys are just not $10,000 golfers. So it's the most important conversation this week, what you do at the top, and we'll obviously break it all down. But yeah, I think we can find some winners here tonight.
Yeah, it's so easy to come into an event like this and be all pessimistic and everything, but that's not what we're doing here. I look at this event. The contests are good over at Draftkings. And honestly, as I talk through it with you guys today, one, we're going to find the winners. But two, knowing where ownership is going to consolidate at, which I think we'll be able to figure it out this week, it's going to give us a nice edge. Snyder, I got to bring you in. How was your week last week? And, what are your thoughts on this event?
Last week, I really didn't play that much. It was pretty low volume for me. I just played a few teams for fun, but it didn't turn out the greatest. I was pretty high on Scheffler and a few other of those teams like Morikawa, and then they just didn't do enough for me. I didn't have any Xander and Cantlay, and I didn't have any Burns and Horschel, so I was pretty much drawn dead from that standpoint. But excited to jump into this event. I think we've got some interesting options to talk about throughout this event. This is a weaker type of field, but I think this is like a spot where we can dig in, and like Hoop said, we can find some gems in the rough here, and we're going to see some of these guys priced where we usually don't, and sometimes that throws some guys off. So excited to see where you guys are feeling on this event, and excited to jump into this.
Yeah, so we're down in Mexico, the Mexico Open. I was going to get a margarita mix going on for this event, but I said, nah, screw it. I can't do that. Got to go back to whiskey like we always do it. Can't change it up. Can't change that mojo up. We got Harry Brandt in the chat. We got Uncle T in the chat. What's going on, everyone? Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. It helps us out. Helps us to keep it free each and every week. We really appreciate it. So yeah, Snyder, it is the Mexico Open. What I've read and looked up and seen, on the Google Maps, kind of looking up this course. It's a resort course that they turned from a par 73 into a par 71. I don't think that's necessarily going to matter. Resort courses are friendly. They're, birdie fest, I think. But talk to us about the course this week. What can we expect?
They're going to be playing at Vallarta. I don't know if I spelled that or pronounced that right, but it's a country club here, a resort type course here. A par 71 is going to measure just under 7,500 yards. It's kind of a unique track. You talked about how they had put it from a 73 to a 71. Well, they've got 5 par 3s in that aspect. 3 of them are going to play over 195 yards, 9 par 4s. 4 par 5s here. 2 of the par 5s are going to play over 600 yards. So looking at some bombers here. The track sets up fairly easy outside of holes 8 and 10. I think are going to be the 2 toughest holes here. They've got water and play on them, but I think the golfers are going to be able to bomb it and gouge here. They're going to be able to send it here. There's very little trouble, I think, around this track. The wind is usually this course's biggest defense. And as of right now, I'm looking at the wind speeds on Windfinder. They're showing right around 10 miles an hour or under. So, I think we're going to see a low score win this event. It's going to be a birdie fest. Whoever has the hot putter, I know we've heard Rahm kind of give his displeasure about these type of events, but we'll get into him here in a little bit. They have big paspalum greens here. No danger really missing these greens. It plays really easy around the green here, so I'm not looking at anything like that. I still think approach is going to be big here, but the two comp courses I'm looking at for this event is Cocoa Beach, the host of the Puerto Rico Open, and Corrales Golf Club, the host of the Punta Cana event. And then some key stats I'll be looking at here: strokes gained approach, birdies are better percentage, driving distance, and then proximity from 175 and plus. I think the majority of the iron shots are going to come in that range, I think.
Yeah, very good. I think, as we go through it and what we do each and every week for everyone, if you're new to the show, we're going to go tier by tier, DraftKings scoring, 10K, 9K, 8K, and up. And we're going to just, talk about the tier. We're going to talk strategy. The thing about a week like this, game theory for me is kind of what rules. Like we know, I think as we go through these tiers, we're going to know where the ownership is going to consolidate as we've mentioned. Hoop, I'm going to start with you. 10K and up. We got, this is like, this is just like, I don't even have any words. Like I can't, Patrick Reed, $10,000. Kevin Na, Abe Answer, and then Finau, and then John Rahm, obviously. But what are you doing with this range this week, 10K and up?
Certainly interesting. You look at the range, and there's only one guy that belongs here, and that's John Rahm, and he's like 3.5 to 1 or 3 to 1, depending on what book you're looking at to win this event. Now, for DFS purposes, which is that's all we care about here on the show, he's 11-3. Now, a 3 to 1 guy should be way more expensive than 11-3. Now, that being said, he's going to be very, very popular. Historically, guys that have this short of odds do not tend to perform up to their expectations. So there is some pause for concern there, obviously, but he's by far the best golfer in this field. Now you have to decide what you have to do, what you want to do here. Now, if he comes out and gets you a top 20, is that good enough? No. You're going to be looking for a little bit more. And John Rahm has not been playing all that well. It cost me a ton of money because I've played him every single week. And, I'll be playing him again this week. But you have to allocate a lot of ownership to get over the field because I'm guessing probably upper 30s, I'd say, 35, 36, 37%. We just don't, no matter what the circumstances are, we don't see guys in PGA get like really highly owned. We never see anyone get like 50, 60%. And like every week in the higher stakes stuff, his ownership will be higher. The lower you go down in stakes, the lower his ownership will likely be. But, I'll be on him. And now I think if you do fade him, for me personally, I think if you do end up fading him, the move is to fade everyone else in this 10K range, because what's going to happen if someone does fade John Rahm, most people that fade John Rahm are going to come up here and sell themselves on someone in this 10K range. And for me, I don't want to do that. Like, to me, I will definitely like Patrick Reed at 10K. Even in this field, Patrick Reed, should not be 10K. He should be in the probably 7K range. He sucks. So he's immediately crossed off the list for me. Kevin Na at 10-1. The way this course sets up, I think it's definitely going to benefit the Bombers. I think you need some distance here. So Kevin Na is a guy that I can cross off right away at 10-1 as well. Abe Answer at 10-3, had the injury concerns, has not been great. I know people will play him because of the Mexico narrative. I will definitely be off of him. And I'm considering going back to my old friend here, Tony Finau at 10-4. I'm going to play this Bomber narrative this week. I think people with golfers with distance off the tee have a leg up, have an advantage. There's just not much penalty for guys like Tony Finau off the tee at this course. So I think I'm going to sell myself and go back to some Tony Finau. And like I said, I'm going to be playing John Rahm, but I totally understand the people. Like, this is a week where if you choose to fade John Rahm, I don't think it's the worst move in the world. He bitched about an event like this. What was the event that was a putting contest? Can't think of the name. It was early on in the season, whatever it was.
West Coast. It was a
West Coast event somewhere. Yeah. And he walked off the tee. He's like, fuck this birdie fest or something along those lines. That's what's going to be here. Or putting contest. He said, screw this putting contest or whatever it was. That's what it's going to be this week. It's going to be low scoring. There's only so much they can do to a resort course to make it challenging. it's likely going to be a putting contest. So I understand the Rahm fade. It's not for me. I'll be on them. And if you are out there and playing Jon Rahm, no, you have to allocate a lot of resources, a lot of salary, and a lot of ownership to get over the field on this week.
Yeah, very good breakdown. The crazy thing about Tony Finau is his approach game has actually been on point, ranking 4th in the field over his last 24 rounds on strokes gained approach. Everything else about his game, not so good. Putter, not good. Off the tee has been kind of, erratic. The ball striking and the approach game is good, though. And maybe a resort course is what our boy Tony Finau needs. Come down to the normal people, get a course that's friendly. Maybe that's what he needs. But I'm with you. I think Rahm has to be the guy that gets a lot of the ownership here. Snyder, what are you doing with the 10K and up range this week?
Yeah, I think the Jon Rahm I found the event that he was talking about. There was the Amex. Somebody won the event at 23 under, and Rahm only shot 14 under. So, but I do think Rahm's underpriced here. I think we're getting a really good discount with Rahm here. He's 11-3. We saw him priced up higher at some events like the API and the Waste Management Open. He was priced higher than this at much stronger fields. At the Genesis and the Amex, he was priced at the same price tag too. And all 4 of those events were so much more talented than this. So I think like in this field with Rahm's win odds, I think he should probably be at like almost 12K, I think. So I think we're getting a good discount on Rahm there. Finau, I don't think I can go there. His short game just continues to be pretty bad. I just don't think I can play him at 10-4 no matter how weak this field is. So I'll probably be off Finau. Probably be off Answer as well. I still kind of worry about Answer and the health of him. I think he still could be a little injured. I think he's just because this is like a home event for him, like in his home country. I think he could be making the trip here. We could see him. I think he could fade pretty easily in this event, so I'll be off of Mr. Answer. I do have a little bit of conviction for Kevin Na. I know he's not the longest off the tee. I think he only averages like 288 off the tee, but we usually don't see him this priced up this high either, but he's got the second highest win odds here at 20-1. He's in great form, finished 2021 really good and started 22 solid as well. And then after the birth of his child, he came back a few weeks later, finished top 15 at the Masters and followed that up with a 26th place at the Heritage. So I think Na's a guy. He's a great iron player. He's gaining almost 2 strokes approach over his last 5 events on average. Has struggled some off the tee, but I don't think that off the tee is really gonna hurt him here. You're not exactly needing to hit the fairways or anything. There's like no real trouble here, I don't think, off the tee, so people can just bomb it and not really worry. And Patrick Reed at 10K, I think that's pretty funny. Hopefully people play him because I will not. So mainly it's just Rahm here for me. I'm considering even locking Rahm. I'm not sure how much I'm going to play this week, though. For starters, like if I play like 50 lineups or 150, that would definitely change my mindset whether I lock him or not. But definitely think Rahm's a great discount up here. And then I kind of like some Kevin Na as well.
Yeah, my thing on Rahm, I just think like the more you look at this top range, the more you see the names and the more like people start to realize like, gosh, Kevin Na is 10K. Abe Answer, Pat Reed are all up in this range. Why not just click Jon Rahm? Like, I think you're right, Snyder. Discounted price tag relative to where he should be when you factor in a lot of different variables. I think he's going to be very, very high owned. And I'm definitely going to fade him. It's a game theory tournament play. And I'm just multi-entering this week. And I know by fading him, it's a weak field. It's an event where I think we're going to see low scores. It's going to be a putting contest. His putter sucks right now. And it's like, I don't know. I feel like I'm getting a ton of leverage by doing it. And if he like sucks or misses the cut or something, I'm mint. I'm absolutely mint. So the one I'm torn on is Tony Finau because what Hoop said about him is 100% spot on. He's still a monster off the tee, and the forgiving fairways here are going to benefit him and the length of this course. So it's still a long course. I think it's going to benefit him too. And the fact that it's a resort course, lower greens, Got all of those things I think help out someone like Tony Finau. So I came into this wanting to fade the whole 10K and up range. I'm a little bit torn now. I think Tony Finau might be the guy that I keep in my player pool, but I don't think I'm going to go like overweight on any one of these guys. I do think like a Tony Finau, if he comes in a little bit lower, because if we look at projections, ownership projections, and if we see Rahm start to trend upwards and these other guys maybe trend downwards, that's when I would definitely have some interest in Finau. But we've been doing this long enough, and we've seen these type of tracks. Like, give us a track where any of these guys can win in a weak field that's a birdie fest. You got to embrace the volatility. So I am leaning towards fading Rahm, fading Answer, Kevin Na, Patrick Reed, and I'm torn on Tony Finau just because I like what Hoop had to say about him. But there is a possibility that I fade this whole range. So my one, I'm going to leave it at that. My one is Tony Finau. Snyder, did you have 1 and 2, 1 fade? What are you doing with this range?
Yeah, I think it's going to be 1 Rahm and 2 Na. I do have one other thing that makes this really interesting with why Rahm's here. I'm kind of surprised that he's here. I mean, the Wells Fargo is next week, and that's across the country. That's in Maryland. I mean, I have a hard time seeing him not come here wanting to like win. This is I think this is a good way for him to also get that good mojo back, get that mindset right, get that momentum back. If he can just come here and like dust this field, I think that will be good for him, like going forward. He's kind of been stuck in a drag. Like he's been kind of lackluster.
But Snyder,
more so with the short game. Yeah.
When all of these guys come out and they're posting scores of 6, 7, 8 under, how are you going to dust a field like that? That's the one concern that I have with Rahm. And he's going to have his sights set on the Wells Fargo and everything. So
for sure.
That's my only pushback with Jon Rahm this week.
I do like that the strategy of fading this whole range. Though, if you're going to fade Rahm and just fade this whole range, I think that's a great strategy because you're going to avoid a lot of loose ownership too in this range that people will be wanting to go up here to just jam one of these guys in for some reason because they're not playing any of them. They feel like they need to play one, and there's some guys in this 9K range and 8K range that are just, I think, almost just as good on a short sample size like a new track like this.
Wide open. I mean, we're going to get to. I mean, he's not too far down, but there's a guy that we're going to get to that's a bomber that randomly wins once every year. We're going to get to that, but and he fits Hoop's narrative, so I'm hopeful that Hoop's on him. But Hoop 1 and 2, and then take us down into the 9K range.
Yeah, I'll say Rahm, and then I think I'm definitely going to play some Finau, unless it's looking like he's going to be like super high owned. But yeah, Rahm and then Finau, 9K range. You know, again, it's another range where it's a lot of guys in this range that typically are much, much cheaper. But I do have some interest in a few guys here. I mean, right at the top, Gary Woodland at 9.9K. Appears to kind of be turning the corner. And the thing I like about Finau, yes, he's still missing some cuts. He missed the cut at the Players, loaded field. He missed the cut at the Masters. Obviously, tough event there. These other places where he's making the cut, he's getting high finishes. 5th at the Honda, 5th at the Arnold Palmer, 21st at Valspar, 8th at Valero. So when he's making the cut, he's finishing solidly. So give me some Woodland here for sure. I like Sebastian Munoz, but I don't think I can get there on him. I'm seeing Chris Kirk, people are playing a lot of him. I think I might end up like fading him this week. Aaron Wise is getting some ownership. Haven't fully decided on him, but this just seems like an event where Aaron Wise could like pop and, finish up at the top. So I think I will stay on Wise. The guy I think you're talking about is Cameron Champ. And if it is, it's a guy I definitely have some interest in at 9.4K. I'm playing the bomber narrative. I really think there's so many unknowns at this course. Give me the guys that hit it long off the tee. He's a guy that hits it very long off the tee and is coming off, probably his best finish of the year at the Masters, where he finished T10th, a place surprisingly where he plays well every year. But a T10 at the Masters coming here in this weak field, I think he can build on that momentum. So Cameron Champ, I'm definitely going to play at 9.4. I'm assuming a very low on play. I can't imagine many people are going to play Cameron Champ, so it'd be easy to get over the field. And then the next group of guys, I just don't think I can get there because of the, narrative that I'm playing, like, Brendan Todd, Knox, Streelman, Matt Jones, all kind of fades for me. I just don't think I'm going to play them at this course where I think you're going to need some length. So a lot of fades for me here, but like those three guys like Woodland, Wise, and Champ, for sure, I have some interest in.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you quite a bit in this range. Just a lot of decent names. Your boy Cameron Tringali right there. I think he's going to go a little bit overlooked like him. Snyder, 9K and up range. I think a lot more options. And when I look at this range, I think there's a decent chance, maybe a potential winner out of this range, or a couple top fives for sure. What are you doing with the guys?
Yeah, I like a few guys in this range for sure. Mr. Waterland has been great to start 2022. He's got 3 finishes inside the top 10, and this could be that spot for him to pick up his first win since the 2019 U.S. Open. I'd rather play Mr. Waterland than some of these 10K guys like Reed, Anser, Finau, probably those guys. I think Gary Woodland has a pretty good upside here. Sebastian Munoz, I think he's priced up a little too high for me. I do worry about his recent finishes at similar courses. He hasn't fared as well at Puerto Rico or Punta Cana before, so I think that'll get me off of him. Cam Tringali has got a couple solid finishes to start 2022. 3rd at the Farmers, 13th at the Genesis, comes off a 12th at the Heritage as well, so I think he's a pretty good guy here. Him and Clark actually played really well last week as a team, too. They finished T10 at that team event last week. So I'll be looking at some Cam Tringali a little bit. I'm probably off Chris Kirky this week. I know he's one of our guys, but he doesn't have the best course history at some of these corollary tracks. Aaron Wise, that's the guy that I can't decide on. This guy tilts me like crazy. I can never get him right. When I play him, he sucks. When I don't, he's right there. And I think he's going to be pretty highly owned too. Right now I'm looking at he's going to be projected right around 20% owned. So if he's going to be that high, I think I can just bite the bullet and get off him. If he gets me, he gets me. But I do like Cameron Champ right under him. I think this is one of the courses where he could really pop out. He's a strong GPP option, I think, in this field. Pretty low owned. I think if he comes in at like 10%, I'd be surprised. But he's played pretty good off of a solid finish. Like last year, he had that 11th place finish at the John Deere. Next week, he comes off for a win at the 3M. And that was off of 4 missed cuts leading into the John Deere. He came in to the Masters, I think, with 2 or 3 missed cuts, finished 10th at the Masters, and now this week he's come to this event. So I think this is that spot where he could pop at it and get that win like we saw at the 3M last year. So I definitely like some Cam Champ. And then Kevin Strill Daddy down there at 9-1. I realized he burned some guys at the Heritage last event, but I think that was mainly due to losing over 2 strokes around the green. And then he also lost nearly 2 strokes on the green as well. So nearly 4 strokes lost with the short game there. He had great form heading into that event. So I have no issue jumping right on Strill Daddy here. So if I had to say my favorite guys, it'd probably be like Waterland, Champ, and Strill Daddy.
Yeah, I like that quite a bit. Man, this range, like Gary Woodland, I think when I think about my builds this week, I'm fine starting there as a starting point. And he's just been playing very well. Like all the metrics that I'm looking at, they look very good, except for his performance at the Masters. So something we can overlook, easier course, obviously. Sebastian Munoz, I'm going to have him in my player pool just because he's a guy that can go low. He thrives in these weak field events, especially the Birdie Fest ones. Not the longest off the tee, but I'm not that concerned about it. Tringali, hoops boy there. I like him. Surprisingly, Chris Kirky, I'm kind of down on, guys. I feel like he's starting to trend in the wrong direction. Like we were on him at his peak, and look, this is we all got excited about him, Kirky. I've seen some bad stuff lately, and I just want to be under on this guy and make sure we're selling at this high point.
He's been our dude for a while, but you got to know when to get off. And I agree. I think we're all in agreement. It's a good time to get off Kirky.
A very good time to get off Kirky. He'll make the fade list this week, unfortunately, but he's still our guy. So not going to root for him, though, because we like money, and that's what we do here. Aaron Wise, I'm torn on. Like, I agree with you guys. This is a guy that just give him I think back to that event that he won. It was in Texas. I can't Trinity Force, I think, was the course where it was like their first year. They're debuting there, wide open fairways, very easy. This dude was just hitting fairways, hitting greens. Chat, correct me if I'm wrong about Trinity Force, but I believe that's where he got his win at. This, I'm not saying it's a course comp or anything like that. What I'm saying is this course, it kind of feels like that type of environment where it's a new track. Not a lot of people are probably familiar with this place, given it's a new event this week. So Aaron Wise, 9,500, been playing good. T21 at the RBC has shown some other decent upside lately. I think he's going to make my player pool, unless he were to be like massive chalk. Cam Champ, we talk about it all the time. He randomly pops up, gets a win for his year, and then moves on to miss a ton of other cuts. This is the type of event that I could definitely see him winning, where a lot of par fives, a lot of distance needed. He's an absolute beast off the tee. Here's one that I am going to be a little bit higher on because of what he's been doing for us lately. That's my boy, Brendan Todd, former workbench play of the week. No one's going to play him. 9,300. Absolutely no one's going to play him at this price tag. But if the event plays out like I think it will, where sure, distance will matter. All these guys have enough distance, I think, to be able to compete here. Everything else about his game, his putter especially, this dude's a beast on these greens. If it's a forgiving course, Brendan Todd's a guy that I think I wouldn't surprise me at all if he was up there at the end. I don't think anyone's going to pay 9,300 for him. So this goes into my strategy of fading the 10K and up range. It allows me to play some of these dustier dudes down here that should not be 9,300. So that's the other part of it. Like, I don't think he should be 9,300. I'm playing him because I think he's going to be really, really low owned. And I'm only doing it in 150 max. If I was playing 20 max, I don't even think he'd make my pool this week. If I was playing three lineups, he definitely wouldn't be making my pool. And then I agree with you, Snyder, Streel Daddy. I like him. Matt Jones, I have a little bit of interest as well. If I got to say my 1 and 2, it's going to be Cam Champ and Aaron Wise. Two guys with a lot of distance. Aaron Wise with the good ball striking, and I think he's starting to trend in the right direction. So, Snyder, you're 1 and 2 in this range.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Cam Champ 1 as well. I think he's a strong GVP option I like in this event. And then I'm going to go with Streel Daddy for number 2 for me.
Yeah, very good. If you haven't yet, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It helps us out each and every week to keep this free for all of you. We're going to have our premium show tomorrow, obviously, with Big T, Tambo, Uncle T, who's in the chat right now, taking notes of the winners that we're talking about on the Tuesday crew, because that's what my boy Uncle T does. He takes notes and he figures out what those winners are. Appreciate you. Hoop, you're 1 and 2, then take us down into the 8K range.
Yeah, I'll go Mr. Woodland 1, and then it's going to be a group consensus here with Cameron Champ as my second play. 8K range, actually a pretty small range. There's not many guys between 8-9 and 8K. The first play for me is going to be our boy Thigala. I'm going to go back to him here. It's been a while. Haven't played him in quite some time, but he continues to make cuts. I mean, missed the cut at the Players. But after that, 7th, 22nd, 67th, 70th. So not getting the best finishes, but I think this is a course that he could take advantage of, and I'm going to be back on him. Man, I want to buy into the Carlos Ortiz Mexico narrative, but man, he's 8-6. He's missed 4 straight cuts. He's been a disaster overall this year. I can't get there. I mean, I looked at the name, him in Mexico. I'm like, all right, yeah. And then you pull up the game log and, man, I can't go there. I think Davis Riley's in play a little bit. He's showing the upside. We had that, what was the second place finish at the Valspar. So he's showing the ability to get into contention. Kind of all I'm looking for here at this event. So I'll be on him. I think Charles Howell, the third at 8-4, is probably going to be a play for me. Lanto. Ugh, man, I don't think I can do Lanto either. Just looking at it, these guys just show nothing. Snyder's boy, Taylor Moore, I'm not playing him. Last play in this range is going to be my boy Mark Hubbard. I actually really like him this week. He's 8K flat. Is mostly on the Corn Ferry Tour as of late, but a 5th, a 9th, a 12th there. It's pretty damn close to a Corn Ferry Tour field. So I'll be on Mark Hubbard at 8K. But yeah, overall, it's a pretty small range. Not many golfers here.
Yeah, pretty small, and like usually these guys are 7K, some of them 6K. So keep in mind it's only going downhill from here. As far as names go, I still think that a lot of these guys are in play because it's just going to be a random week. Snyder, 8K range. What are you doing? What are you doing with your boy Aaron Rye? 2 gloves, iron covers. I mean, what are we doing? Oh, and then following it up with the mute. Snyder, come on.
I thought I clicked it. I must have misclicked it. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to go with my guy Aaron Rye this week. I do have some conviction in Sahith Theegala right above him, though. He can bomb it off the tee. He's shown some good upside a couple times in this year already. A 3rd at the Waste Management Phoenix Open and then a 7th at the Valspar. So I think he's a fine option in that range. I do like some Davis Riley, another young gun right there. 8,500. He played pretty well in that team event with Zalatoris last week. He can bomb the ball off the tee. He's averaging like almost 310 yards off the tee. Did play 2nd in that Valspar last month. So I think he's a guy that can thrive on a track like this with minimal trouble. So I like some Riley. I do like my guy Taylor Moore. I've been waiting to play him. These tough tracks, these tough fields, he just got ate up in, but he's back on an easier course with an easier field. He did really good to start 2022, finished 2021 really good in those weaker type fields on easier tracks. Him and Neesmith finished in a tie for 4th last week in that team event. So I think this is the time to fire back up my guy, Taylor Moore. So I'll be on him. I think CT Pan may be interesting there. He's pretty good ball striker approach guy. Possibly. He's made 5 of his last 6 cuts. He finished 9th at the Genesis and 16th at the Honda. So maybe a sprinkle of CT Pan in there. And I do like that Mark Hubbard call. I was kind of wavering on him, but I definitely can get on board with him here at 8K. So those are the few guys. I'm not on that many guys in this range. Like there's 5 guys I talked about there. So not too much, but yeah, pretty much just those guys.
I see this range going really underowned. And so I think it's one that you definitely could get some leverage in because and one of the reasons why I think Rahm is just going to be, I mean, what I put on, I think I said over 39%. I think that's definitely true in higher stakes stuff. I think the $5 150 max or $15 or $20, whichever they're running this week, 150 max. I do think Rahm might be 35 or under, maybe 30 to 35%. But the higher up you go in stakes, I think he's going to be much higher owned. And I think with the options that we talked about in the 9K range, it's going to just take people off of this range. And I think they're going to feel fine about it because, as both of you alluded to, it's not like there's anyone that really sticks out. Sahith, maybe, Doug Gim, maybe, like 2 gloves, Aaron Rye. I mean, Snyder, real quick. Are you off of him just because like all of Tony's comments, or I mean, did he bully you on this guy? I mean, this was your boy. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, I do like playing Aaron Rye when he's usually in like that low 7K range, but I think 87 might be a little thin for him here. I mean, they did play really well in that team event last week, but I'm just not sure he's got like the upside. Like at the Farmers, he has broke through a couple of times. He had that top 10 at the Farmers. Was 15th at the Mayakoba, but recently has just been like 29th, miscut, 66th, 61st, 65th. So I just kind of worry about him in this event at that price tag. So I mean, I definitely can see you playing him, and I don't have anything against him. I think he's better suited for, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, I got
you. So I think Lanto, we're all in agreement on him. Like, I think we retired Lanto until the California swing. When we're back in California on the West Coast, we'll be back on Lanto. Davis Riley, I was really impressed with last week. I have a little bit more interest, I think, in Carlos Ortiz than you guys do. Big off the tee. His recent form sucks. It's really bad. But he's going to be in my 150 pool this week. Not going to be like a staple type play. I just think he's a guy that won last year. He has upside. He's just playing bad. Maybe going back to Mexico, it brings some mojo back for him. So, I mean, for me, I'm going to mix some of these guys in, but I could see myself making cuts here too. Chucky 3-6, Charles Howell the third. He's showing some upside. He's showing missed cuts or some upside. So I'll have a little bit of interest in him. He's always a guy too on the swing season. Like he always pops, and it seems like he always pops and knows that he needs to take advantage of these weak type fields. So I'll have a little bit of interest in him. The other guy that does that too is CT Pan. Good ball striker, ranks 12th on approach. I'm going to have interest in CT Pan this week. Has made last four of his last five, four cuts out of his last 5 events, which isn't bad for him. So he's definitely a guy that I could see getting it done here. If I were to rank this though and give my 1 and 2, I'm gonna say Ortiz and CT Pan. Snyder, do you have like a 1 and 2 or a 1? Are you fading this range? Sum it up for us.
I'm gonna go Taylor Moore 1 and CT Pan 2.
Taylor Moore. I might add him just for you this week. I know he had, like, here's what I'm kind of doing just strategy wise. I want to make some huge fades and then like ownership fades. And I think what that will allow me to do is open up my player pool a little bit. So I might play a little bit more players, but the reason I can do that is because I'm making some big fades. So we'll see. We have plenty of time. Hoop, you're 1 and 2 or 1, or if you're fading everyone, and then take us down into the 7K range.
Yeah, I'm going to go Hubbard 1, and then our boy Sahith number 2. Like Sahith quite a bit here this week. 7K range. It's a pretty big range. Starting at the top, a couple guys I like right out of the gate. I've been playing some Adam Long lately. Playing solid golf. I think it's a good price tag for him here at 7.8K. I actually really like Adam Long. Our boy Smotherman at 7.8. I will play him as well. A random guy I kind of like, David Lipsky, 7.7. I believe he's had some decent finishes. Yeah, 7th at the Corrales Punta Cana. He had a 26th at the Arnold Palmer. That's all I'm kind of looking for at this event in this price range. Guys that have had some decent finishes at some point. Patrick Rogers, I do like him at 7.6. Definitely going to be on our boy Wyndham, kind of playing some solid golf, turning that corner a little bit. 7.6K. I think he's a great play. JT Poston at 7.5. I will be on him coming off that third at the RBC. I think he's a solid option. Have to continue to play my boy Svensson. It really hurt my feelings last week. Him and Hadwin were a disaster. Actually, I think they missed it on the number, or maybe by 2, but missed a cut, and they're one of my highest owned teams. So that was pretty disappointing. Grayson Sig at 7.3. This is the range where I'll start playing some of these young guys, some of Snyder's boys. 7.3, low 7s, high 6s. 7.3, I do like that price tag on him. My boy Nick Taylor coming in at 7.1K. Got to play him by default. He hasn't been great. He's let us down quite a bit lately. Back-to-back missed cuts at the Valero and the RBC Heritage. I'll definitely get a little bit of him. I mean, he should be pretty much like unowned. Joseph Bramlett, I believe he's really long off the tee. Snyder can correct me on that if I'm wrong, but I think he's long off the tee, 7.1K. He will be in my player pool. And then maybe some Peter Uline at 7K flat. So yeah, again, it's a big range. A lot of different options. So those are kind of the guys that I like the most.
Yeah, Joseph Bramlett ranks 5th in driving distance off the tee over his last 24 rounds. Yeah, he's a monster off the tee. Speaking of guys that can hit it far. Snyder, I want to talk about the 7K range, obviously, but your boy, I believe, unless I'm mistaken, but Kurt Kitayama What are you doing with him this week? Is he
Not
not your
really.
boy?
I don't think I've really played him too much.
What? Okay, maybe it's someone else that I'm thinking
Yeah,
of.
it might be someone else's.
It was like
But,
2 events ago that he had a name similar to him. Am I way
possibly,
off?
and possibly could have. Yeah, I'm not sure.
I have in my notes right here, Kurt Kitayama, Snyder's boy.
I might have been on him at one of these crappier fields before.
Oh, that's funny. Go ahead, Snyder. Talk to us
Awesome.
about the 7 game.
Yeah, I also really like Adam Long here in this range. 7/8, good price tag for him. Off a 12th place finish at the Heritage. He posted 4 straight top 25s in 2021 too, in some weaker type fields like this. I really like the birdie upside for that Long brings. In some of those weaker fields at the end of the year, he posted like 20 plus birdies, and I think maybe all 4 of those are like 3 of the 4. So he's definitely got some scoring upside that I like there. I like David Lipsky. He's off a great finish in that team event last week. T4 with Aaron Rye. Lipsky carried the team for the most part in that best ball format. He made 10 birdies and an eagle in the best ball for the 2 days. Finished 7th at a similar Punta Cana event last month. So I like David Lipsky there. Scott Stallings, I think that's a good price tag on him at 7-7. He's been playing better over the last month or so. 42nd to Players, 16th at the Valspar, 13th at the Valero. Did miss the cut at the Heritage, but that was mainly due to losing over 4 strokes putting. So I like the price tag on him for this event. Solid birdie upside for Stallings on these easier tracks. Wyndham Clark, Mr. Ham, solid last week with Tringali in that team event. He can bomb it off the tee. I like him to keep it rolling here with a nice tag. Tyler Duncan, that's a guy I've kind of been on here as of late. He's like low under the radar. He's finished 35th or better in 5 of his last 6 events, coming off of a couple top 15 finishes. He did really well in that team event too last week with Adam Schenk. He shot 4 under in both of his best ball rounds, so I like Duncan there. Duncan actually finished 12th at the Heritage too in his last stroke play event, so Duncan's in play for me. Chase Seifert, I think he played solid last week. Finished T18 with Hank the Tank last week. Rolls in with some solid form, 22nd, 41st, 25th in his last 3 events. My guy Brian Stewart's down here. He's got some pretty good solid form. He's made 5 of his last 7 cuts, 4 finishes of 22nd or better in those, including a 7th place finish at the Punta Cana last week. So I think Stewart's a good birdie maker. Streb's down there. He's been hitting his irons pretty well, gaining about 2 strokes approach in his last 3 events. Finished 7th at the Valspar. And then like Sig, Smotherland, Smalley, Svensson. I think those are some guys that'll probably make their way into my pool. Pretty much sums up the 7K range for me there.
Yeah, I mean, for me, with some of the fades I'm making, I'm going to be really living in this range. And I think it's a strong one. I think a lot of these guys are very similar to like the 8K range guys. Like I see very little differences between like a Carlos Ortiz and like a Wyndham Clark, JT Poston, Nasty Nate, some of these other guys, like very, very little difference between all of them, in my opinion. So
that's a really good point. I agree with you on that.
Yeah. And so like, for me, it comes down to, on fields like this, I do custom projections where I have a scaled ranking, and I just make sure from a value standpoint, whatever the value number is off of the projection. So you're taking their projection into their price, and it's going to create a value there. And I want to make sure that number, the value number, is higher on the guys that I like, if that makes sense. And so that matters down here, because I want these guys to match the 8K guys, is kind of what I was getting at. Austin Smotherland, I think metrics wise, he checks a lot of boxes. Our boy Uncle T, who's in the chat, Anirban Lahiri, I'm going to have a couple shares of him. He's been playing really good. I know that's his boy. Adam Long, I'm with you on him, Hoop. I think he's a good play. I'm kind of torn on Scott Stallings. Like, I've been on him, and he's done decent for us, especially at events like this. So I probably should include him in the pool. He just hasn't been able to close. Like, he had a chance. I think it was at the Valero, and just that last round, that fourth round, he was over par. He was like, gosh, he just was terrible. Like, he literally had it in her mouth. Mom walked in, disappointing performance. And you just hate to see it, all of the above. David Lipsky, I think you both mentioned him. He's like an all-around just good golfer. He played well last week in the event that went on with I forget who his partner was, but I recall him playing pretty well. Pat Rogers, Corey, he's long off the tee, ranks 21st in driving distance. He ranks 13th in eagles over his last 24 rounds. I'm going to have interest in him. Wyndham Clark, potential workbench play, of course, second in driving distance, third overall in eagles made over his last 24 rounds. And his putting is actually really impressive right now. I look at this metric, it's a rolling metric, and it looks at your last 24 rounds. Cumulative, he's gained 9.3 strokes putting. This has been a guy who historically has been a pretty weak putter. So you really like to see that with him. JT Poston, he's another guy, not long off the tee, ranks 64th in this field, but 12th in eagles. So his scoring is really well. I love to see that on a course that has a ton of par fives, a ton of gettable. I think one par four that's drivable. I think it's like under 300 yards. So going to be so many scoring opportunities for these bombers. I mean, I'm really liking this narrative. I'm not saying JT is one of those guys that's a bomber. I'm just saying his form really puts him in play here. And I'm showing like no one's on him. I'm showing like 5% ownership, where some of these other guys are getting. I mean, I'm showing Pat Perez a little bit higher than him. So maybe my ownership projections are wrong, but kind of an interesting thing. Nasty Nate, he was hurtful. He's been hurtful, but I'm going to go back to him. I believe it was the RBC that he let us down at. I'm going to go back to him. I'll have him in my pool this week. And so, like, I'm not talking as much about my fades because, and I'm talking about more guys in my player pool. And the reason is I just got to go back to it. It's because I'm going to make some big fades. John Rahm, not going to play him this week. And I hope he's 45% owned. I'm going to be rooting for a very high ownership tag on him. If he's not, it might be hurtful because he could absolutely punish me, but I'm okay with that. Going to keep bankroll management, everything in mind, obviously. But I just think at these events, it gives you so much leverage. Brandon Wu, a guy that good golfer, 3 cuts made in a row, a T3, T33, T28 at the Corrales Punta Cana. He's going to be a guy that's definitely in my pool. Adam Svensson, I like him. I think Hoop, you mentioned him. Emiliano Grillo, he's been terrible, but he's shown signs of life at events like this, where it's a ball striker type course. You get him on what's this green type called, Snyder? I can't pronounce it, but
it's Past Palm.
Past Palm. He's been good.
Salt levels will be high.
Yeah, salt levels will be high. Higher the better for Grillo, because he's the guy that can absolutely tilt you. Tyler Duncan, like him. Here's a guy. Okay, so no one's going to play him, but I'm telling you, I've been watching him over the past few weeks, and he's been sneaky good. He's not long off the tee or anything, but Graham McDowell, like, I'm going to have him in my pool. He's shown some upside lately. A dusty, like, field like this one, with how he's been playing, and it's not going to show up in the metrics. It's not going to show up when you look at the different things that we're looking at on, if you're looking at stats. But I'm telling you, he's been playing really good golf lately. I'm going to have him in my player pool. Kramer Hickok, he's buddies with Sam Burns. He's got to be a guy that just looks at what a guy like Sam Burns is doing, and he's got to take advantage of these weak fields. So I think there's times last year where he was in spots in these weaker field events to secure a win, and he didn't. So, but what that tells me is, or what it shows me, is he has upside. So I'm going to have some of him as well. Let me sum it up with Kurt Kitayama, who I thought was Snyder's boy. I'm going to have him in my pool as well. So, like I said, much wider range for me here. But that's because I'm making some other bigger cuts, which will allow me to open up the player pool a little bit. If I were to give my 1 and 2, my 1 is definitely going to be Wyndham Clark. My 2 is a little bit tougher, but I'm going to go with I'm going to go Patrick Rogers. I love the bomber narrative. Both of those guys have plenty of distance off the tee. And I just see them doing it well at a track like this. Snyder, you're 1 and 2 in this range.
I'm going to go with David Lipsky 1, and then Tyler Duncan 2.
I like that very much. Hoop, you're 1 and 2 in this range, and then let's keep it going. Let's go down to the dusty 6K range.
Yeah. 7K range after, just all of us going through, it's pretty loaded. I mean, there's a lot of plays. And I mean, I think the important point of the entire slate is, man, these guys are just not that much different than the guys in the 9K range and the 8K range. There's just,
couldn't you play so I'm fading Rom, but that doesn't mean I don't think he's a good play. Couldn't you play Rom, play like one 9K guy, then fill the rest of it out with these 7K guys?
Yeah,
I mean,
seems
like a good route.
That. Yeah, this is a strong range. So for me, the one's going to be Long. I really like Adam Long, and then 2 is going to be our boy Wyndham Clark. But there's some of my favorite plays are in this range. It drops off quick, obviously. I mean, there's just you get down in the 6K range, and there's not a ton of plays. Now I will have a chunk of these guys in my player pool. But it's not a comfortable feeling when you start playing some of these guys. I'm going to start with one of Snyder's soldiers, Mr. Malnati. He's been our guy for a while, 6.9K. I just think safe bet to make the cut here. He made the cut in 3 out of the last 4 events, top 40 finishes. It's definitely good enough for a 6.9K guy. Hayden Buckley, I have some interest in at 6.8K. Vince Whaley, 6.8K. I like him a little bit. I'll have some Vaughn Taylor as well at 6.9K. Let's see. I wrote down some of these names. Robert Garrigus, where's his price tag? 6.6K. 4 straight made cuts. He hasn't missed a cut. Let's see what he's 16th at the Pebble Beach. I have interest in him for sure at 6.6. Kevin Tway coming in at 6.5K, long off the tee. Had some decent finishes earlier in the year, but 5 straight missed cuts. So not in the best form, but very weak field here. I'm going to play a little bit of him. And then, this wouldn't be the Tuesday night show if we didn't mention our boy, Mr. Werenski, 6.4K. Showed a little bit of upside for us, 28th at the Puerto Rico, 21st at the Valspar. So I think our boy Richie Werenski could get back on track here, 6.4K. Not the greatest range down here, obviously. A lot of risk if you come down here. But, if you're going to get heavy on John Rahm and, you probably got to play a few of these dudes down here.
Did you mention your boy Vaughn Taylor? Did I miss that?
Yeah, I'm going to play him. He's 6'9". He's on the list. Yeah, I tossed his name out there.
Yep. I like that. Snyder, 6K range. What are you doing with these guys this week?
Yeah, I'm going to start up here with Peter Malnetti. He's been a real strong cut maker here to start the year. I think we've all been on him pretty much since the start of the year. He's still remains under 7K, which is a really good price tag, I think, for this field. I think he's going to make his 8th of 10th cut here this week. Finished 7th at the Bermuda in a weaker type field, like kind of a similar course setup as this. I like Shank down there. Him and Duncan both played well in that team event last week en route to a T14 finish. Shank finished 7th at the Punta Cana in a weaker type field about a month ago or so. So I like Shank. Vincent Whaley, he's off back-to-back top 30s at the Valero and the Punta Cana. So I think Whaley's an interesting guy down there. Hank the Tank is another guy I mentioned earlier, but I think this is the time of the year that he started to go on that little heater last year. It was right around the end of April, start of May. So he played well in that team event. So hopefully he can carry that over. He shot when he shoot. I think he had 4. He was 4 under in that final best ball round. Him and Seifert tied for 18th place. So I think this is a spot where Hank the Tank can get back going. Scott Gutschewski is a guy I'll probably have a little bit of. He's a Nebraska guy. He lives in Omaha. He plays out at Firethorn quite a bit. He's made his last 3 cuts and comes off a top 20 at the Valero where he gained nearly 4 strokes approach. So I'll have some Gutschewski. And that's pretty much it for me. I do like the Kevin Tway call there. He's a guy that can kind of go off in some of these weaker type fields. He finished second at the Houston Open into last year back in November, but he doesn't have the greatest form coming in here. But we've seen him pop at some times. I'm just looking at his recent form heading into the Houston Open. It was miscut 56. So, I mean, I like the upside of Tway there too, but kind of leaning on AP here for the 6K gems here too.
Yeah, it starts us off with our boy, the ABC of the PGA Tour, Kiradef, Offrey Barnrat, 6.9K right there. Three made cuts in a row. The game is trending in the right direction. I mean, all right, look, keep it in mind, we're 6K range. These guys are dusty, and he's very dusty. But I'm going to have him in my player pool. Like, he's been a guy that in the past, in these weak fields, he's shown some upside. So he's a big boy, and he's short. He's like 5'7". I think he's like 240 pounds or whatever. So he's a big boy, but smokes on the course, gambles, drinks, does all of the above. A guy that we can definitely like, the ABC of the PGA Tour. Peter Malnati, definitely a good play with you guys there. Adam Schenk, like him. Ryan Armour, I might go back. I like what I saw at the Corrales Punta Cana T15 resort course. He's like, yeah, when you look at him, I know he's not on the Champions Tour yet, but he's pretty close. He has to be pretty close. But you got to think that when he's vacationing, he plays courses like this all the time. So I'm going to have some of him. Von Taylor, I like him. And then it's, man, it gets tough down here pretty quickly. Aaron Baddeley, he's shown some upside recently. I'm going to have him in my player pool. I'm going to have Dylan Wu, the brother of, I think, Brandon Wu. Not brothers, just a running inside joke. I should have just went with it, but every time we get it in Discord, they're not brothers. The one is the NBA, the Bogdanoviches. They are actually brothers, though, just so you guys know. Yeah, Dylan Wu, I'm going to have a little bit of him too. I don't like, it's not like I'm that familiar with his game. The putter looks good, though. I think it looks like he has some type of upside. I'm going to, take some shots down here. I do think, though, like, as you go down, there are guys that I'm just never playing. One of them is like Jason Duffner, a name down here that I think people will play just because of his name, but I'm definitely not playing like a chalkier guy down in this range. So I'm going to make a ton of cuts down here just because I think, we talked about the 7K range and how much stronger it is. I'd much rather just get more ownership up there. Johnson Wagner, 6,200. He's actually a guy that, like, he's a good putter. I mean, maybe could get him in, but you're talking Ricky Barnes. I mean, gosh, it's dusty down here. I'm not even going to bring up Sung Kang. He's got his brother Jeffrey Kang in the field. So if you want to play the Hung Kang narrative, you could play Jeff and you could play Sung Kang. I'm not going to be playing either, though. So a lot of cuts down here that we're going to be making, but notebook play, man, I'm gonna go with Kiradef, Offrey Barnrat. I'm not going crazy on him or anything, but I think in MME formats, I might put him, 6 to 8% range, and I'm going to be 4 or 5x the field. No one's going to play him, and he's 3 cuts in a row. He's been a guy that's shown upside in the past, so I'm gonna go with him. My second favorite play in this range is Ryan Armour, and outside of that, I'm gonna have very little exposure down to the 6K range. Snyder, did you have a 1 and 2 down here in the 6K range?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Peter Malnetti 1, and then I'm going to go Hank the Tank 2.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I saw Bobby Witt Jr. had a Grand Slam opportunity and just grounded out. So you really hate to see that if you're a Royals homer like I am. Hoop, you're 1 and 2 in the 6K range.
Yeah, definitely hate to see that when you had the Royals
stacked
up. They're like 2 to 3.
I stacked them up hard.
They're like 2%, 3% in the big DraftKings GPP. Super fucking tilting.
Do you have Bobby Witt?
Yes, I have Witt in there. Yeah, it's annoying. The more we talked about this range, the more I just want to end most teams in the 7K range. There's just not much down here. I'm going to say Wierenski 1, Kevin Tway 2. I mean, no strong conviction. And I guess the good part is all these guys will be super low owned. So if you play, 8, 9, 10%, whatever it may be, you're going to be over the field on them. So if they have a good finish, you can gain some leverage, but it is not a comfortable range to be in.
Yeah, I agree very much with that. Let's get to the winners, fellas. Snyder, let's start with you. How we do it each week, we give just who we think is going to win. Odds not a factor, and then we give a longer shot that we might consider betting on. Snyder, who do you got this week?
Yeah, I don't really have too much conviction on the leaders up there. I mean, I can't bet John Rahm at 3.5 to 1 or 3 to 1.
3.5 to 1. I just saw that.
There's no chance.
If you're
honestly,
betting that,
never bet that. Whatever you're doing out there, you just don't bet that. Like if you want to get exposure to Rahm here, bet some head-to-heads or something. Bet whatever. I mean, the best way to get exposure to Rahm is clearly on DraftKings, where he's underpriced for being 3 to 1. You just can't bet the
No, I'm not going there. I'm gonna actually go down the board a little ways. I'm gonna go with Kevin Strilldaddy at 60 to 1 for my winner, and then I'm gonna go to my guy Taylor Moore for a long shot at 70 to 1. So those are the two guys I'll be rolling with for right now for this week.
Yeah, I like it. Good picks for sure. Hoop, who do you got this week?
I'm not going to go to the top. I mean, not taking Rahm, obviously. I'm going to go with our boy Sahith. I think Sahith could get in contention here and chip this week. So give me Sahith to win. And then the long shot is going to be Mr. Long himself, Adam Long. I think he has a chance to contend this week playing solid golf. So give me Sahith and Adam Long as the winners.
Yeah, very good. I am going to go with, Cam Champ. So you guys left that one for me. I thought he was going to get picked 45.
Yeah, I thought about going there, but I wanted to leave that one. I had a feeling that he was going to get taken, he's all yours.
Yeah, then my other one, it's not like that long, but I'm going to go with Carlos the Kid Ortiz. I think he gets up for it. One on tour last year. He's been terrible, but 70 to 1. I like those odds. So Carlos the Kid Ortiz. Snyder, sum it up for us. Final thoughts this week.
I'm looking forward to this event. I think it's going to be interesting format. I think it's going to be a birdie format. Whoever gets the hottest putter come down the stretch is going to be the guy you're going to need. Looking forward to getting back on the Mayo Media Network this week too. We took last week off with that team event, but I'll be back on there, I think, Thursday and Friday with Hoop, and then some combination of JSU and Big T possibly, or something like that. And then the Sunday, don't forget to tune into the Sunday premium show with I think AP and Tambo usually do that. They do a really good job going through the different strategy elements with the round 4 Stroton with the placement points and all that. So definitely looking forward to the playbook and everything.
One last thing, we got a partnership with Underdog. This is something that you and Simon, behind the scenes, producer right now, that you guys have really head up and have done a phenomenal job of. The videos are excellent. The code is Run Pier, so go over to Underdog, put in the code Run Pier. But talk to us a little bit about Underdog and what you and Simon have been working on.
Yeah, we've done a few shows this off season. We're going to put out another one here after the draft on Monday, so looking forward to that as well into the next week. We kind of go through, talk about where people are going, like ADP early on in as the schedule hasn't came out. Yes, we don't have any bye weeks, so you're kind of taking a little bit of a gamble early on. They've got some fun formats. They had a super flex format going. They've got a rookies and sophomore format going, and then I expect them to start to roll out the best ball manias as the draft and the schedule start to roll out throughout the summer. We'll be giving best ball content throughout the summer as the NFL season approaches as well. So as the NFL calendar goes on, it's really been fun time. Me and Simon's really good with that. He's dialed in with the guys now, he was saying earlier. So looking forward to the show Monday and pretty good edge, I think, in that early on drafting earlier versus, like September, August, once the season gets around the corner.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. Hoop, final thoughts this week.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a weak field overall, but I mean, we've had a lot of success in these fields. Make your stands, pick your guys, and root it in. I mean, it's cool to see different courses, on TV and whatnot. So I'm looking forward to that, like just seeing this course on TV, seeing the layout. So it's going to be a lot of fun every week. And the prizes, like you said, I mean, DraftKings just continues to roll out massive prizes for PGA week in and week out, and this week's no different. So time to get to work, build these teams, and pick these winners.
Yeah, speaking of work, the playbook will be up tomorrow. Core plays will be up tomorrow. Cash chart will be up tomorrow. We'll all be in Discord. Tambo will be in Discord. Big T, the whole crew will be in Discord. They got the premium show members only tomorrow night. Make sure you tune into that. That is Uncle T, Big T, and Tambo. With that, I'm AP. That's Snyder. That's Hoop. Simon, get us out of here.